Cards such as these are common in web design. In this video, we'll show you how to recreate the cards shown here, each with an image, text, and a button. Let's get started. The first step is to add an empty section. The section is divided into 2 columns, which is perfect for our needs. Next, let's add a 3% padding to the column. Notice that you can link the top and bottom and the left and right values together, so changing the value of one side changes the other. Now we need to change the stacking direction for this column to horizontal so our image can sit next to our text. Now, we'll give this column a white background color. Let's change the corner radius to 20 pixels on all sides. Now we're ready to start adding our widgets. The first widget we'll add is an image. Now we'll change the width of the image to 50% to leave room for the text, and then align our image to the left of the card using the content alignment buttons. Next, we're going to add an inner column with vertical stacking to the right of our image. This inner column becomes a container that gives us the ability to have our text widget stacked vertically while maintaining horizontal stacking with our image. Inside this inner column, we're going to add another vertically aligned inner column to give us more control over the spacing and positioning of our buttons and text. Now we'll add the text widget and set the heading type to H4. Next, we'll add a text widget beneath the title. Let's copy the text from our example below. Now, let's take a closer look at the structure of these cards. We have a column containing an image and an inner column. That inner column has a second inner column inside the first one and contains 2 text widgets. Next, we'll add a button, but not inside the nested inner column. I'll add it below in the outer inner column. Adding the button here gives us the ability to control the alignment and spacing of the button independently. Next, let's add the button text and we'll choose the secondary button design. Once we've got this set, let's use the space between vertical alignment option for the inner column that contains the text and button. This ensures that my text always stays at the top and my button remains at the bottom, even if we add more text. Next, we'll adjust the nested inner column's alignment to stretch horizontally so that the width expands when the page is resized. And we'll set the outer inner column and the image to stretch vertically to fill the space. Now, this layout works for the desktop view, but before we start duplicating the column to create the gallery view, we want to make sure it looks good on all breakpoints. Let's start with the tablet view. First, we'll change the section's left and right padding to 4% to give the contents more breathing room. Now, we'll go to the column level and change the stacking direction from horizontal to vertical. Let's set the image and inner column's alignment to stretch to fill the space horizontally. And we'll adjust the height of both the image and the inner columns to fit the space. This will give us a nice card layout for the tablet. Remember, simplicity is key. Now that we've got our tablet layout sorted, let's move on to the mobile layout. We'll apply the same changes here. Change the column stacking direction to vertical, then adjust the height and padding of the image and both inner columns to fit the space. We'll set the button's alignment to stretch as well. Now, let's take one last look at our design before we duplicate the card. Let's round the corners of the image to match the original. Once we've got one card built, we can duplicate this column and remove the empty one. Now, we can start replacing the content. Since we already configured the design for the other breakpoints on the first card, the card copies will preserve those settings. No further adjustments needed. Once we've completed one section, it's as simple as copy-pasting to create the second section. However, before we do that, let's adjust the padding on our section from 4% to 2% to ensure uniform spacing. Now we'll copy and paste the section. Finally, we'll go ahead and replace the images and update the titles. If we swap to the other breakpoints, we can see everything looks great. Fantastic job, everyone. We've created a card layout that adapts for an optimal experience at each breakpoint, and then we duplicated that card to create a responsive gallery. Cards like these can be useful in many types of websites. Nice work.